everybody. This video is about being a petty Betty. I used to be a petty Betty. The couple of things that I used to be petty about were how people dressed, how people acted. For example, like, why can't you get out of bed and put on some, I don't know, stretch pants instead of putting on pajama pants and mobbing around the town like you're wearing a hot pair of jeans and a tank top. Like, that used to drive me nuts. Like, give it some effort. Why can't you just give it some effort? Other things I used to be petty about was how people spoke, or the fact that if you don't know something, look for it. Don't sit there and ask the people that you know might know it, because that's lazy, right? That's lazy. That used to be an annoyance to me. I didn't like people who couldn't figure out answers on their own. For example, if I just listened to a book, that's fine. But if I just listen to a book and don't get any of the concepts, like, what's the point of even listening to it other than just entertainment? But if you're going to read a book and you don't understand the concepts but you want to, that means you're going to have to, look that stuff up and study. So, not being proactive in your education, just even life education, was another petty thing for me. I can't even believe I'm laundry listing my petties, but I was a petty Betty. And only in the last year or so have I realized that I'm actually not that much of a petty Betty anymore. And the reason I'm not is because I see everyone around me is everyone. And it's like, you have your elementary level of petty, you have your middle school level of petty, you have your high school level of petty, and then you have your adult world level of petty. That is an entirely new arena, because let me tell you, it combines elementary school, middle school, and high school pettiness all in one, and it's called adult. So you see this a lot of times in the workforce. For instance, lately, I guess it's been a big thing that, like, someone's taking a couple minutes over on their break. So, petty tip number 1. If you're going to be petty about other people, expect people to be petty about you too. So if you don't care about what other people are doing, they ain't going to care about what you're doing. It's almost a form of manipulation, right? So let's say someone says, Bobby, I think you went over 10 minutes on your break. Which never happens, but let's say it did. And I would say, okay, well, I'm sorry, I'll make sure I won't do that anymore. But then, if I were a petty person, which I was, I'm going to watch to see when this individual gets off their breaks. So that way I can say, look, dude, you were gone for like 2 minutes after your break time ended. I would go there. Yes, I would go there. I usually meet the level of petty. I reciprocate it. So if you give me real petty, I'll meet it with real petty. And people usually don't like that. They'll feel like, oh, they're the victim. They're being attacked. Like, Bobby's just being such a bitch. This is like our relationship with our siblings, right? They're petty to you. You return the pettiness in a wonderful gift of beautiful pettiness, wonderfulness, just awesomeness. And they can never be like, wow, that was a great petty comeback. No. You have to tell everybody and be all butthurt about it and act like a victim. And I mean, it is what it is. But in adult life, you have to learn that when you're petty, it's going to come right back on you, and 10 times worse. So here's what I would recommend. Petty tip number 1. Stop worrying about other people. Like, don't. If someone's over on their break, so what? That's them. If someone's surfing a web page while they're supposed to be working, so what? That's them. If it doesn't affect you, it's none of your business. That's how I see it. If it don't affect me, I don't care about it. Because you can believe that if I'm doing something that doesn't affect you and you're trying to be worried about it, I'm going to tell you, leave me alone. I don't understand why the level of pettiness is so incredible. Because honestly, look at it like this. If you're being petty and someone says, well, can you tell the person that? And you're like shy, or you don't think that's appropriate to tell the person, then probably it's not a legit issue. You're probably just being salty about it for some other reason. So this leads me to say that if you're incredibly petty and you find that maybe 4 or 5 times throughout an 8 to 10 hour period that you're being incredibly petty and you can't figure out why, you're going to have to do some work on yourself, because it's really not the other people that are setting you off. It's yourself. For instance, you know, so we have a coworker that likes to sit and chat with me, but doesn't actually like to get up and do work. And so, of course, I could, be like, hey, can you get up and actually do something? Or, I mean, I could say that. Or, I could go snitch him off to the bosses or whatever. There's lots of things that I could do if I were feeling real petty Betty. But you know what? Him sitting around not doing nothing doesn't really affect me. I have other people who are there to help me, so I can use them. Him sitting there has actually no bearing on whether I can do my job in a timely fashion or not. So you know what? It doesn't bother me. If you want to sit there and potentially get in trouble on your own, that's your own thing. Like, that has nothing to do with me. So the fact that someone would feel salty about that makes me think that they need to reevaluate what they got going on in their own life. Because if I'm mad at you for saying a certain thing or doing a certain thing and it has no effect on me, do I really have the right to be mad about it? I don't think so. So let this be a lesson to all the petty betties and all the petty bobs, that being petty is something you need to work on for yourself. Being affected by things that other people do in their life that have no bearing on how you live yours only makes your life miserable and makes everybody else think you're a freaking jerk. So the double-edged sword to this is that a lot of us have environments where we've had to be in protection mode 24/7 for years at a time. So, for instance, we had a transfer from another department, and this individual had to be petty on a daily basis because this individual was in an environment where everyone was petty and it was almost protection mode. So I try to explain that to the coworkers when, a petty situation comes up, because if you tell this individual that's not actually what's going on, they listen. They'll listen to you because this is not the same environment that they were in. So they don't have to react, and, treat people the same as they did previously. So that's my petty message for today. If you guys like my video, give me the awesome thumbs up. If you don't like my video, you better tell me why.